Hi grade 10s. It's Monday, and if you're following along, I realize there's no credit involved with any of this, but if you're finding that participating in these grade 10 art lessons, if you're finding they are good for your head, helping pass the time and giving you a creative outlet, then you're ready for a creative perspective drawing. So if we were in school and there was a mark associated with all this stuff, I'd be talking about how you demonstrate your mastery of this style of drawing. And I use perspective all the time in my own artwork, but I rarely use vanishing points and stuff. But if you're into drawing realistic stuff, or even just stuff that shows space and depth, you're using perspective in some way or another. So it's something that I think all artists really need to understand. So I'm set up here. I'm using a big piece of paper, probably bigger than you have access to, but that doesn't matter. This is my horizon line with my vanishing points. And I'm just going to start with a biggish building in the center of the space here. This line's too long. I wouldn't do that, I'd do this. One of the things about drawing in this style is it's a good idea to draw light because you end up having to erase lines, but I'm drawing dark just for the sake of the camera. I'll probably take my drawing and then use some markers and stuff to kind of finish it. So there's a basic form in the center of the page here. I think I'll add to it a little bit over here on the right. And what I'm going to do here is almost like there's a little addition on the side of the building, making it look kind of like the letter L from the front. So if you're standing over here, you see this sort of L shape. We would see the top of this part of the building though, because it's below the horizon. So watch this, connecting to the left vanishing point, and a little line like that. And that just makes the building look a little more complicated and a little more interesting. You could think of it as two buildings that are touching, that are sharing a wall, or one building that's not just a plain rectangle. I'm gonna do another building over here now, and this is one of my favorite little effects, because it suggests that there's space. I'm gonna draw this side of the building first. Again, those lines are too long and I would erase them. But watch this now. See, there's a gap between these two buildings, or these two forms. And I use the right vanishing point to create this line, and then I stop there. And that's one of my favorite little effects, this kind of alleyway. Now, how long you make this line determines how wide this wall is. I'll just drop a line straight down like that. So you wouldn't see the back corner of this building because it's hidden by this one. But I think that's a great little effect. I'll do another building in the background. And this is kind of easy because you don't see very much of it. As long as you're using the left vanishing point when you're supposed to, and the right vanishing point when you're supposed to, you can get a great effect of this gigantic building way off, further off in the distance. I'll do another building over here. This time, it's going to be set in a little bit, and it might take a moment for you to figure out how I'm doing this. If that looks a little confusing, hopefully when I erase some lines, it makes a little more sense. So here, this structure is it's a little further away, but it's set in too. So if you were walking along here, you could like take a left, and there's like a little, maybe like a little park or something like that. So there's some space between these buildings. It's a little harder to see. I'm gonna do a few more little things. I'm gonna make an opening in here, and this is where I start to have fun with this, because I mean, I'm not an architect and I'm not worried about making things that look realistic necessarily. Right now that looks like a garage door or something, but I can open it up like that. And now it's an opening. I'll do one on this building too, but I'll make it different. See, this one, it's going to be much taller, and we've crossed the horizon, which means it's going to look very different. Because now we're going to see the roof as well as the bottom here. Watch this. See, that looks really different. And it's all because of how high it is. Now we're looking up and we can see the roof. And you can have fun. At least I enjoyed this stuff. You know, I'm going to make an opening in this wall now. Draw the thickness of this. And now, look, if I could figure out where these two lines meet, I can draw the back corner of that building. I think that's quite cool. And maybe I'd see the back of this building here too somehow. I'm not quite sure where it would be. That's looking a little confusing, but if you can imagine, you go in here, you can come around here. You can go in there, and you can go between these two buildings. That stuff I enjoy, you know. I'll add some tone and some shading to this later on too. Another little trick here. Let's do a road coming from the left vanishing point. Make an intersection or crossroads from the right vanishing point like this. Erase this. Right now it looks like this is on top of this. And we could actually make it look like it's a bridge or something like that. Watch this. I think this is cool. Drop a third line down and then erase this. Can you see now how this has some height? So this is like an overpass, and this is going underneath. I think that's a great little effect. Another thing, again, if there was a mark associated with all this, if you're able to draw things in the foreground, so close here, that makes things look even more interesting. I'm gonna draw a little building over here. It's not gonna be fancy, but just to show you. So here's another structure. That's closer. Now that I think of it, if it's touching the ground, it should go a little further down actually, like this. Because this is the ground, but this is this raised freeway. Things are getting a little complicated, and the video is getting a little long. Thanks for following along, everybody. In the next video, I'm going to take this drawing and just try and bring it to another level with some shading and stuff like that. Thank you.